So, hi Kunal, how are you, man? How is it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Really nice to meet you. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks for
Yeah,
reaching out. And yeah, I saw your channel and you're doing good work for
yeah,
the community. So that's always good. Yeah,
yeah. So I just started out. So the basic
yeah,
idea
yeah.
behind the channel is to, get people acquainted to various people who are
Mm-hmm.
already in our, industry, and get to
Mm-hmm.
learn from their experience. That's why I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, talk with you so that now GSOC already commenced, like the results just came out, right? So I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
give an overview of what a student who is just going into college can do, and what are the other platforms are there already there where they can learn and expose their skills to the whole world, not just a certain community, right? So that is my idea behind it, that people just learn from students learn from people who are already there, and then go learn things and then do whatever they want to do. So yeah. So that is the main idea. So I'll start with your first question, that explain your journey, like how is it been, like how it all started, and where are you now currently? So how's it going? All those things. Yeah.
Sure. So my journey started in freshman year only.
Mhm.
It wasn't like I was like coding since my childhood or anything. It started in my freshman year. Started with like learning Python and like Java and stuff. And then I realized like I wanted some more hands-on experience. So then when I used to attend a lot of events. So then I found out like about open source. I was at an open source session. I was attending that, and that really fascinated me. Like the code you will be writing will be used by people around the world, and
Right.
it's when I then again went home and started looking for projects, that use Java. So I
Mhm.
found the Kubernetes Java client. I didn't know about anything else. Like I just knew a bit of like Java and like Maven and stuff.
Mhm.
So I learned on the go, and the community was very helpful. So I realized like even beginners can contribute to open source. Then I got selected in Google Summer of Code with the same project in my freshman year, and that was like my in the first semester. My entire first semester was spent in like learning, and in like my winter break and like second semester, I started teaching. I started like teaching assistantship at some programming boot camps. Then came my summer break. During that, I like did my Google Summer of Code with the same project that I was contributing to in winters.
Yeah.
Yeah, then in third semester, since I was contributing to a Kubernetes project, I got a scholarship to attend the KubeCon, which is one of the largest events in the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
by CNCF Foundation.
Yeah.
So I went to San Diego,
Mhm.
met a lot of nice people, and that event was good. Then I got selected. Like I started doing more community work after that, like more teaching and mentored in Google Code. In gave my first talk. Got selected as Microsoft Learner. And after
Okay.
that, like in my fourth semester, I started with even more mentorship programs. So
Yeah.
started Code for Cause
Yeah.
in my fourth semester, on YouTube last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I got selected in the MLH Fellowship, which is an internship alternative. So I contributed to Facebook's Jest project over there. And then I also mentored at Google Summer of Code with Red Hat.
Mhm.
And in my fifth semester, I was a CNCF intern. And I was also an MLH Fellowship team leader. And
Mhm.
currently, I'm an MLH coach.
Mhm.
I'm a CNCF ambassador
Yeah.
and I'm a co-founder at Code for Cause. And I'm working at a lot of these nice places right now. Remote,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, currently I'm also in the Kubernetes release team.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. That's a long list, man. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
applying whatever I learn,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
I do that,
Exactly.
I get opportunities.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that's what, like, people only see what you are doing currently, but they don't see all the hard work that goes behind it, right?
yeah.
So yeah, and also like talking to you. So I saw your post, and also what I saw that you have been doing a lot of things here and there. Like you mentored also in GSOC, and you do a different kinds of, you are part of Kubernetes team and you are doing a lot of open source work. So I get this question a lot that from where do I start? So like there are a bunch of things out there, and people just get confused
Hmm.
that okay, from where should I start? What should I do?
Hmm.
What should be
Hmm.
roadmap for a guy who is just starting out, who is in just first semester, first year of college? So
Hmm.
what would be your thoughts on that?
Like a roadmap to college or specific to open source?
No, so first let's talk about open source, like how a person who is
Okay,
interested
okay.
in
Yeah.
contributing can start with open
Hmm.
source and things like that.
The only way to get involved, the only way to get started is just get started, get involved,
Mhm.
because even non-coders can contribute to large-scale open source projects. There are non-code contributions which are also very important.
Yeah.
So procrastinating is something that 90% of the students who reach out to me regarding open source suffer from. Everything is available online. Everything is available like on the, if you just, I would not recommend YouTubing Google Summer of Code, because you will find many
Yeah.
clickbait videos over there.
Exactly.
I would recommend going to Google Summer of Code like website and stuff. Every organization is mentioned there. Every project is mentioned there. If you want to learn about how to get involved, watch videos about like from Google Open Source, or reach out to the people on the mailing list. Instead of actually watching random YouTube videos, because it's a lot of crap content out there that is just focused on money and not open source.
Yeah.
So the only way to get started is get started. If you're talking about, let's say, code contributions, there is no shortcut. If you want to contribute to, I mean, you're a software engineer. You might know if you want to contribute to a big project, you have, and you don't know about a particular tech stack.
Yeah.
You have to learn that
Yeah,
tech stack.
exactly.
You have to work hard. You have to study. That is what I did. And that is exactly why I got the opportunities that I have gotten.
Yeah.
I don't look for shortcuts. I'm like, okay, this is a project, and I want to contribute to it. It's my like Kubernetes is being used, Docker, Quarkus, वगैरह is being used. I will learn all these things. I will give 1 month, 1.5 month. Then I'll look at good first issues. I'll engage with the community. I'll attend meetups, and then I'll contribute.
Right.
That's how it usually goes.
Yeah.
There is no shortcut. Just getting started is the first way. And even bigger projects, they do have like good first issues, that are
I lost you.
communities are very. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying, like, open source communities in general are very welcoming.
Yeah.
So if you want to get started, I mean, in Code for Cause, for example, we have like I have this campus leaders program. So basically, what I'm trying to do is people who want to conduct like workshops and stuff during the whatever that might be. And the thing is that there were two people who got selected. One got selected in LFX this year, Linux Foundation program. One got selected into Google Summer of Code with TensorFlow. And they got many rejections throughout the year. But we used to meet every week, and I used to tell them it's fine. Even if you don't get selected in these programs, you can still contribute to open source.
Yeah.
That is what they did.
Yeah.
They contributed for 6 month, 1 year, and now they got selected.
Right.
Why? It's not because of me. It's not because of someone else. It's all because of their hard work.
Exactly.
Even though I am providing some guidance or someone else is providing some guidance, if you don't work hard, if guidance was the only thing that was required for success, then all the 50,000 people who watch my YouTube channel would make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to work hard.
Yeah.
That's pretty much about it. You have to act. That's why I always say, watch videos that have some action items.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't just watch something that is like, okay, motivational videos, fine. You do feel good. But if it does not have any action item, like actually, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
Watch those things, So with open source, just get started, ask questions, ask doubts, get involved in the community, ask them, hey, I'm a newcomer. How can I contribute? Any tasks from me? Anything I can get started with? Any resources? Then the project, the people who work on that project will help you. Yep.
Yeah. So the thing that you said that people in open source community are very welcoming. That is really true. And they also like point out to what are the first bugs or first few bugs you can try out, right? So like that community is really good, and they really help you out, and they really put effort from their side also, so that you can solve the problem, right? So that part is really good. And second thing is you said hard work. So yeah, there are no shortcuts. People are just looking out for that. Okay, give me 5 points and I'll do that and I'll crack. So it doesn't happen that way. if you are going like that. So yeah, like you have to put in effort. I have seen guys like starting or like contributing to the same foundation or same project for a year. Then also they don't get selected, but still they continue to contribute. And they, so one of my friend was there who was selected, and then like he contributed for a year before he got selected. So it happens that okay, sometimes you will get selected in 2 3 months, and sometimes it will take some time for you to get selected. But yeah, like your motivation should be solving the problem and contributing to the community, not just the part which comes later. So yeah, that's a good point to put it. And so like if you see, like you have been coder as well as vendor as well for GSOC specifically, if I say, right?
Hmm.
So like you yourself run your programs from Code for Cause, right? Your YouTube channel, and you just
Hmm.
meet up, you have meetups, and you. So what are the like top 5 suggestions you will give to a student so that they can try out and they can increase their chances with your actionable items? So what would be that?
For open source, right? Or like for
Yeah,
specifically Google Summer
yeah,
of Code
yeah, yeah,
in general?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's a valid question. GSOC is a great thing.
yeah.
First thing is like GSOC is not the only program. There are many mentorship
Right,
programs
right.
available
Mhm.
outside of GSOC, and these are also very valuable. In general, if you contribute to open source, that's also pretty valuable. And the first thing is like get started, means find a project, find the organization you like. Second thing is get involved, meaning like actually attend the meetings and like office hours, ask your questions over there, see what other people are working on,
Right.
advocate for them. That also helps. Like if you're solving an issue for them, or like if you're improving the documentation, providing some examples, creating some tutorial, everything, things like that, that is going to help other people use that project.
Yeah.
That is also a great way to get started.
Mhm.
Look for beginner friendly issues, like issues that you can solve after like using that particular project, and also like try to run it on your local system, basically testing out the project. And then just contribute. So contribute to a smaller issue, contribute to them another issue, then another issue, and then that's how you become a contributor.
Okay.
After that, you can apply to all these programs. I mean, you can even apply right now if you want, like even the application's open,
Yeah.
but your chances will increase if you are a contributor.
Yeah. Great. Great. Okay, so this thing about, so I would like your experience, like how do you prepare, like what is your strategy to, so suppose if you're preparing for something, even if it is an internship or like any a program or any project that you are working for, so what is your like thought or your strategy behind preparing for that part? How
Sure.
do you do?
There's a funny answer to that. There is
Yeah.
none. I don't have a strategy. The reason being, I am always prepared.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm like, when I was in my first semester, I knew ki like, third year, during third year, I will have my internships. I
Right.
knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was daily practicing DSLU. I was like, interview, if you want to take today, you can take today. If you want to take after 1 year, you can take after 1 year. I'm always prepared.
Okay.
So the reason being, I don't feel stressed when the actual interview comes. Ki, oh, 1 week is left. I need to brush up all the important topics. That's not me. I'm revising, studying, practicing continuously, so that whenever an opportunity comes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And regarding like how do I like approach an opportunity? It's like whatever I'm learning, I apply that somewhere. So
Yeah.
if you're learning something, you can like make projects, contribute to open source, teach someone, create content, start a YouTube channel if you're good at it,
Yeah.
and help other people.
Yeah.
Learning in public and open source has helped me a lot in getting opportunities.
Yeah.
I recently like cleared all my Google North America interviews, and I did not prepare anything special for it.
Okay.
I just like I was like, okay, I applied online, got an online round, done that,
Yeah.
a few interviews, done that.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's not like I'm preparing specifically for that. And even though like right now, if I've gotten any internships opportunity or anything, that has all been via my GitHub, and like, people have reached out, hey, we like your GitHub. Would you like an internship? And things like that. So I believe learning in public can really help you.
Yeah.
If you're from a tier 3 college, if you don't have on-campus opportunities,
Yeah.
then learning in public can definitely help you in getting more and more opportunities. But to answer your question, I don't have any strategies or anything.
Yeah, great. So you are always prepared. That's a very good thing. That you don't prepare only when something is approaching. Okay, I'm in my third year, so I need to start preparing for my internship and all. You are always ready. So that's a very, and that only comes with discipline. So discipline means like you are always there in the group. You are always working. You are always putting in those hours. So that's a very good point that is put up by you.
Yeah. But you have to
Yeah.
make sure you have to make sure you don't get burnout. I'm not always working.
Exactly.
For those who are
exactly.
watching,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
take
So you
rest
have-
and break. There
Yeah.
might be a complete week I don't do anything.
Yeah, so there have to balance, right? There has to be a balance
Yeah.
between everything that you do. It should not that okay if you are not if you are stressed out right now and you are still working, so that should not be a case. You should take care of those things as well. But yeah, you should be like as you said, you should be prepared. You should have that discipline that okay, at least if you are have some other works also, so you can say that okay, three days a week I will do DSL. Right. So that will also help. That is not a bad thing to do. Right?
Exactly.
So it's better that you like have some mechanism or you have some routine kind of thing in your lifestyle that so that you're always prepared for it. And of course, like
The thing is, yeah, that's true. That's true. No. The thing is, like, yeah, that's totally true. And I believe my lifestyle has changed quite a bit now that I'm in third year, because I gave my initial 1.5 years to completely studying.
yeah.
I studied a lot and I just worked and studied. I was studying 8 to 9 hours a day, or even 10 and sometimes 13. So now I don't study as much. Now I'm contributing and applying those things in projects, doing internships,
Exactly.
social community work, and all these things, and like all the other opportunities and everything. So you have everything has its own time. If you're just starting out, and then you have to definitely study and practice. But I've already done all these things. I have already studied, and now I'm actually learning more and contributing and applying those skills at other places.
Yeah. So yeah, like what you also and what I also am trying to say that there is no shortcut. You have to put in those hours, like so you have to study, you have to practice those questions, you have to apply your learning. So there is no shortcut that okay, in 2 months I'll prepare and I'll crack that. So okay, there are chances that you may crack that, but there are also chances that you will not. And you should not get disheartened when things don't happen your way, right? So that brings up to my next.
That's also something yeah. No, that's also something that I keep in mind whenever I apply for something and I don't get selected. I never feel bad.
Yeah. So actually, so that thing that I have also incorporated in my lifestyle as well. Earlier, I used to get disheartened if something didn't happen my way, but now I have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter if something doesn't happen. You have to keep trying. So that's what we can do. That's really in our hands, right? And as you said, tier 3 college. So I am very, I'm not fond of this word, but is it like a tough thing to do these kind of things for tier 3 college? Like, does it really matter? I
Okay.
don't think it matter in
Yeah.
terms everything is online now, and you can go and learn anything that you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts and being a student of a college which is not that much famous, or you say in tier 3 college, so you have achieved
Yep.
a lot of things. So was it something that was in your mind that okay, I have to work extra hard or I have to do extra things, or did it happen? Is just that in a organic way. So yeah, what's your take?
Cool. So tier 3 colleges, first of all, yeah, I totally believe they are real because I am from one.
Yeah,
I know my college, how bad it is.
Yeah.
So no opportunities, zero support from teachers, zero resources, everything zero. Good thing is, like you mentioned, everything is available online. So yeah, I did realize, to answer your question, I did realize that I would have to work harder.
Yeah.
Because companies were not going to come to my campus. I knew, because then I realized also, like, if you want to crack big companies, topmost, Google, Facebook, whatever, off campus you have to have your social profile very good. It can be in either two ways. You're very good at competitive coding, CodeJam, Hash Code, Google Kickstart competitions, Facebook Hacker Cup, having very high ranks in that. If you have very high ranks in that, you will not have any problem getting a very good job. Second one is via open source, having a great development profile and great open source and GitHub, which is the path I followed. I don't do competitive coding, and whenever I apply for opportunities, never did I face any issues with not doing competitive coding. I am fond of data structures, algorithms, problem solving. I practice on lead code, but competitive coding is a different thing and it's not at all mandatory, even for the biggest tech company. So most definitely data structures, algorithms, problem solving, all these things are very important, but competitive coding are not so much. Again, for tier 3, I did believe like off campus, I would have to work hard. So I did initially 1 year. I explored various technologies, studied a lot, contributed to open source, applied to each and every program I could get my hands on, networked with a lot of people. That's like the thing that worked for me, because I knew that I would have to work hard to leave an impression on off-campus people, because off-campus there's a lot more competition.
Right.
And now I have gotten, I'm not like exaggerating or anything, or if you feel like he's boasting or anything, no. If you speak about your achievements in public, that is not boasting. That is going to motivate other people. So similarly, if I share my achievements, that is going to motivate other tier 3 or tier 2 college students. So if you are sharing your achievements in public, and someone says, yeah, you are boasting, and then no, that is not true. That is wrong. You should not say that. It's totally fine to appreciate what you have achieved. So yeah, recently, like last week or something, this month, I got 25 opportunities, international opportunities. 8 were Indian and rest were international, for internships and job offers, because my Google post went viral. It got like 2 million views or anything. So not just because of this post, even before this post, I had 5 to 6 offers for my summer internships. In second year, like before I finished second year, I had an offer from Red Hat for an internship. And they don't even hire second year students for internships. I was like an exception because I contributed to their projects. So this is again not boasting or anything. It's just like to motivate you all that learn in public, contribute to open source, do good work, hard work, network with a lot of people. And like I have gotten all these opportunities, you can get as well. Obviously, I did not take every single opportunity, because how can someone do 20 internships at once?
Exactly.
But I'm just mentioning I had like offers, and I have offers for future as well.
Okay. So yeah, like that's what, like that is the thing I wanted to convey to people, that even if you are from tier 3 college and you think there are no opportunities in your college, but you can actually build your profile in such a way that people will come to you. So that's what you are doing currently, and I think it's a great thing, whatever you are doing. And congratulations on getting selected for Google. And I saw your post that you couldn't go due to pandemic and all. But yeah, like so that's what. So students should not feel bad that when they are not in a very good colleges. Of course, like in IITs and IITs, there are opportunities. Companies come to their campus. But if you are from a college where there are no such opportunities, then a student should not get disheartened, and they should actually work more harder, as you thought that, okay, I'll have to work harder. So, and you got the things you want, right? So, like it's not that you are from tier 3 college and you did not get opportunity even after working hard. So, and
I got so many.
Yeah, and even if you would have in top colleges, you will have to, put in those hours. You have to work hard.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Even then also. So it's not
even then also.
Yeah, it's not that people do not work hard and you will get everything. So yeah, you have to put in those hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. So being a college student, so what is your roadmap for a college? So suppose I'm a newbie and I'm just going to join college next month. So what will be your suggestion to me as a developer you are, and I want to like be a good programmer or good developer. So what will be your suggestion to me, so that I do good things in college and I get so many opportunities like you?
Sure. So there are 2 types of colleges. One where they teach very good and people actually learn, and one where they waste your time. So that my college is the second one. And the thing is, I I always mention this to people, like the roadmap for every year, right? I have created that on like my channel as well. But right when we are first starting out with college, right? Specifically talking about people who want to do computer science, not just from computer science background, doesn't matter which background you're from, but you want to do this. So first of all, learn data structures algorithms. That's the very first thing.
Yeah.
Because then you will not feel like burdened when your internships or something like that comes.
Yeah.
Spend like your first semester doing that, solve lead code problems, learn about DSA and everything in detail. Second semester, get some hands-on development experience and open source. And after that, keep exploring. This entire first year with development, you should spend it with exploring. Second year, start diving deep into the things that you liked while you were exploring, and then learn about it, contribute to open source, go to events, apply to student programs, and then you will come to third year, and third year mein everything is going to be like cool.
Yeah. So
But regarding like just one thing regarding college is I did not give much time to my college.
okay.
Because they were like, with assignments and practical files, literally like copy pasting from one written text to some other text, that's a waste of time. Exactly. And lectures that I did not like manufacturing, physics, chemistry. And the reason being because my college is very far. It's like 3 hours of commute.
Okay.
So I did not give much efforts and things in my college, but still I did score good because this is another important point. College studies are not waste. College studies are very important. Your topics like DSA, networking, operating system, compiler design, and data structures and analysis. This is a very important topic. Even though they might not be able to teach you in a good way, some people, let's say, you should definitely not skip these topics. And you should definitely not wait for these topics to come into your semester to start with it. You can even start beforehand if you have time. That is what I did. Then what happens is when your actual exams come, I never studied for my college exams, by the way. Literally, I know it's hard to believe. But I did not study. I was literally, when I was going to give the exams, final exams, I used to look at the syllabus in Metro. What is the syllabus?
Okay.
And third year में आते तो second year में आते I was like, आज exam किसका है? Metro में जब जा रहा हूँ.
हो जाता है.
Don't take this advice from me because this depends on college to college. Some colleges have very strict checking. Some colleges are very lenient with checking. My college is very lenient with checking. तो बिना पढ़े ज़्यादा marks आ जाते थे. So the thing is with these important subjects that I really liked, without even studying, I used to get good marks because I already studied about it beforehand because I really enjoy these topics and it's essential for me as a computer science student. So don't follow this path कि यार हम भी नहीं पढ़ेंगे, we will also not study for college. No. Try to figure out what type of college you are in and what works best for you. And try to see how much time you can give to self-study as well if you're not getting on-campus opportunities.
So, like on top of that, please do not take advice from here. So, if you are not studying and if you are failing your exams, so that is not a good thing. You should be able to pass your exams and semesters with good pointers. So, people often ask me, is pointer necessary? Yes, it is necessary. In some
8 plus CGPA is very 8 plus CGPA rakho, it's very good. Mine is also like 8.6 something. CGPA does matter, but the thing is like it does matter for on campus, it does matter for like higher studies. For off campus it does not matter as much. In India maybe, but in international companies no. All the companies I have gotten opportunities at, like they did not even ask about my college. They were like, we don't care if you're from college or not. And they are paying as much as the FANG type companies pay in India. That is how much they are paying for remote work. So try out remote work. It's pretty cool. I am loving it. You can work from anywhere. Teams are great. You can work on exciting products. It's pretty cool. And these are the ones that I'm talking about, international opportunities. They pay you quite a lot. You learn a lot. Teams are great and everything, because in India, for tier 3 colleges, there is a very big discrimination. I am more than happy to work for a big tech company in India, but hire me. Karo na hire, I will work for you. But they won't. They are not. मेरे को कोई problem थोड़ी है. I don't have any problem. I have been rejected from topmost companies in India, and same companies have selected me from like USA, Europe, Singapore. So it's not up to me. You are not hiring us. So हमारी इसमें क्या गलती है? We will go somewhere else where people are hiring us. So this is definitely a fact. CGPA college zero importance in off campus for startup culture, but in off campus even bigger companies they require to be a college student, and over there also 7+ is fine. But for India, just to be on the safe side, because better be safe than sorry, try to maintain 8+ CGPA. But it's not like you will spend your entire first year leaving everything and just focusing on college studies that are not remotely related to your computer science background just to get a 10 CGPA or 9 CGPA. वो 8 and 9 CGPA में ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं होता. If you're 8 CGPA, other than that you have a great GitHub and nice developer profile, more than enough for you.
Yeah. So even if you are 8 CGPA, you have 8 CGPA, you should have a good profile. So what happens in colleges? I have heard like seen that. So companies come and they want, okay, I want you guys because they have to filter out from a lot of students, right? So their first criteria is, okay, we want guys who have more than 8 CGPA. So that's where you may miss out on an opportunity in college. So that's why it's good to be on safer side and have a good CGPA. It's not that CGPA is not relevant.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, it's very important for you, and even in higher studies, it does help. So yeah, please maintain good CGPA, and it should be in your, you should be able to balance out your open source or your programming thing, and then also your semesters and your CGPA. So it should be both, but you have to manage those things. So yeah,
exactly.
And again, like, okay, so we have talked about this. So I would like to ask now, what are the resources that you look up to for your learning? So what are the resources that you look up to? So suppose if I'm a new guy and I want to learn something, suppose I want to learn data structures and algorithms, and I want to practice coding, right? So what are the resources that I should look up to?
Sure. For data structure algorithms, I researched a lot. There is no free course available that teaches entirely data structures algorithms. There is none. You will talk. I know people will say there are many on YouTube. There's like there might be on YouTube, I believe, but I did not find anyone that is like popular. If you're talking about Coursera and stuff, it's just like basic data structure algorithm. No one is even talking about the implementation or like competitive coding or anything, or like a proper roadmap or anything like that. If you're talking about like MIT OpenCourseware, that is also like not as beginner friendly and does not cover the entire data structure like stacks, queues, linked list, all these things. It's more like theory focused. So I would highly recommend investing in like if you can, a paid course. You can take some paid courses online or something, that have a nice structure for data structure algorithms. Why? Because I get this from I did a paid course as well. And this was one of the best decisions of my life. In 2 to 3 months, my data structure was set. And then I just started practicing. When first semester में I joined a paid bootcamp, I did that. And Anuj Garg, who is from like Code for Cause, he taught. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. So people are like, we are paying lakhs and lakhs of fees for our colleges. Right. And we complain about our colleges being tier 3 and very bad. But on the other hand, paying 3,000, 4,000 for some coding boot camp that shows some efforts, it's unethical for them. For them, I don't have anything to say because it's totally up to you what you want to do. Yeah. I have not found good free resources online. If you can find it, please leave it in the comment section below so that I can share it with other people. Yeah. But for me, paid boot camps have been great. For development, just documentation, books, online resources, making projects, free code camp, all these YouTube channels and other YouTube channels. There are like so many development things are there. For open source, like Kubernetes related stuff. Also, I would recommend there are a lot of nice YouTube channels for DevOps related stuff. So all of those things you can get for free. But for data structure algorithms, I would recommend investing. But for every other thing else, there are many free resources available.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So I guess we are in the end parts of our discussion now. So is there any suggestion that you want to give to guys who are okay? So first two kinds of people. First kind of people who are not selected in GSOC or any other open source things. So to them, and second to the guys who are just going to start for preparing for open source in general, not particularly for GSOC. So, your suggestions to them. Yeah.
Yeah, just get involved, keep contributing, stop wasting time. Contributions, every contribution counts, and open source is for everyone. So even if you're a beginner, you can contribute. And yeah, I mean, just get started, ask all your questions, ask relevant questions, learn how to ask good questions. Keep all the conversations in public, like every question that you're asking, ask that in public, in the public channel of the particular organization. If you didn't get selected for GSOC, don't worry, you can still contribute, then apply next year. And contributions do matter. You will still get all the benefit, like most of the benefits of Google Summer of Code if you're contributing in your free time, like working on a real world project, enhancing your resume, for example, meeting new people, contributing to large scale project, enhancing your skills. Everything you can get via contributing to open source in general as well.
Yeah.
There are no shortcuts, and just keep working hard. And
yeah. And lastly, I would like to ask you about your Code for Cause YouTube channel, and what is your idea behind it, and what are the good things that you are doing that people can get,
yeah, it's like, sure. I started it. I have sent you a link. You can leave it in the description below, so viewers, you can check it out. The idea was, there was like a lot of misguiding content on YouTube, and there still is. Millions and millions of tier 3 Indian students have, because that is what I used to do. In my JEE, I used to follow all these things, and I failed JEE because I just used to watch motivational videos and did not act upon it at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is wrong, and many careers get destroyed of tier 3 college students. They just focus on clickbaity videos and do GSOC, and when they don't get selected for GSOC, they leave open source, lose all the hope. They just focus on competitive coding. Sometimes they don't make it with competitive coding because competitive coding is not the only thing required, and then their future is ruined. They don't get as much opportunities as they wanted to. People get depressed and all these things. That is the reason I started the guidance playlist on Code for Cause channel. Not a single video you will find that is clickbaity, and entire roadmaps I have given for each and every particular person, which year you are from, does not matter which branch you are from, which college you are from. You can definitely do it, like I did it as well. And that is what the channel is focused on, just to spread open source awareness amongst everyone. And we also have like a nice podcast theme going on. We conduct nice podcasts. We have an entire machine learning boot camp. We conduct a lot of workshops, Python, Java, data science algorithms, machine learning, DevOps, cloud, everything is available in the playlist section. So yeah, that's the whole idea. This year we got selected in Google Summer of Code this year as well as an organization under JBoss. So we have 2 students who will be working with Code for Cause this year in Google Summer of Code. So yeah, we have our own open source projects as well that people contribute to for social good. If you want to contribute to open source, you can do that as well with Code for Cause. Beginner friendly projects as well. So yeah, it's the idea.
Yeah, that's great, and you are doing a great job. And I hope from this podcast, people will learn and still getting action, not get motivated. Okay, if you're getting motivated, that is fine. But
no, getting motivated is fine, but with some action item.
With action, yeah. So getting motivated is fine, but you should have to put action in motion, and you should get started. And please do hard work, because there is no shortcut to be successful and to do good in your life. And also,
Exactly.
I see a lot of guys, so if they don't get good colleges and they are in tier 3 colleges, so they don't do anything after that, because they think that, okay, I'm not in very good college, so I won't be able to do anything good, right? And they lose all the hope, and they do not do good also. So my request to them is that you have an example here, Kunal, and you can at least learn from him that how we can do good things while in college, even if you are from tier 3 college, and then get great opportunities, and you can do good in life. So yeah, that's it. That will be my parting notes. And it was great talking to you, Kunal. And you are really doing a great job, and keep doing it. And I hope we'll have some more conversations in future also.
Yeah, most definitely. Thanks a lot for having me. And make sure you subscribe to Aman's channel and share this video with your friends. And see you later on.
Sure. Bye, Kunal.
Okay. Bye.